Hey guys, welcome back and Merry Christmas. And thanks for tuning in to my best gear of 2017 video. Now, I've done videos like this in the past, but I've always broken them out into separate categories. So there was an EDC video, there was a knife video, there was a gun video. Today, I'm rolling them all into one big video. But if you're only interested in a couple of these things, you can use the chapter markers that I provided down below, so you can hop to the things that you are particularly interested in. But we're gonna cover lots of stuff today. We're gonna get into EDC gear, some of my favorites for 2017. We're going to talk about outdoor gear, some of the stuff that really impressed me this year. We're going to cover guns and range gear, some of the stuff I've really loved, and of course knives. So do stick around, we're going to have some fun. So I want to talk about my top 3 pieces of gear for each one of these categories. And we'll probably also throw in some honorable mentions as well. Now, I want to make it clear that this is not necessarily gear that came out in 2017. This is merely the stuff that I really enjoyed using this year. And I think you would enjoy using it too. So I'm going to leave links down in the description for all this stuff if you want to buy any of it. So jumping right into it, let's start talking about EDC gear. Let's start off with an honorable mention. This is the Squirt PS4 from Leatherman. I've carried this thing for so many years. I thoroughly enjoy it. I use it all the time. I haven't broken one yet, but I've lost 2 or 3 of them, and I always buy it again because it's just a great tool. It's got your knife, it's got your drivers on it, it's got scissors on it, it's got a good little pair of pliers. It's an extremely handy tool. I love it, and yeah, I couldn't leave this off the list. So honorable mention goes to the Leatherman Squirt PS4. Moving on, I want to talk about my favorite flashlight of 2017. And this could very well be the only flashlight I use from here on out. I'm talking about the Olight S1R Baton. It's a multi-mode flashlight. I'm not going to cover the lumens so much in this video, or the weight, or any of the specs really. But it's got some really great, really simple, really cool features, but it can clip to the top of your ball cap just like this, so you can turn it into a headlamp. It's got a strobe mode, so if you're in traffic or going across the street and you're afraid cars won't see you, there's your strobe. And again, lots and lots of modes to it, so you can go low, medium, high. You can go to moonlight mode, turbo mode, double turbo mode, and all that stuff. The really cool thing is that it's completely rechargeable with that magnetic base cap right there. So the button on the side here is the only button you've got. That rechargeable plate right there makes it super convenient. So you're not going through batteries, you're just recharging it periodically. And for something like an EDC light, I think that is perfectly ideal. So the Olight S1R Baton, that tops the list for EDC gear right there. Next piece, and this is kind of a surprise to me. I've actually found myself really loving this phone case made by Klecker Knives. This is the Klecker Stowaway phone case. I got a hold of an iPhone 6 this year, switched up to it, and this is kind of what I've been running. But this piece right here, this phone case, is a very functional and very protective phone case. All the switches to my phone are readily accessible, so I'm not pushing through some kind of a plastic case in order to activate those switches. I'm actually touching the actual switches themselves, which I really, really like. But in addition to that, of course, the main feature of the Stowaway phone case is the fact that you've got the Stowaway tools on it. So you can pull out a little pocket knife right there. We've got our tweezers right there. And again, you can get any number of tools to add to this phone case. And the phone case isn't the only way you can carry these tools. But they're great, handy little tools. Many of them are around 10 to 15, maybe 20 bucks total for the tool. The phone case itself is not very expensive, and it comes in lots of colors. So there you go, on the EDC list, the Klecker Knives Stowaway phone case. Last on the EDC list is one of these things I genuinely use every single day, and that is the Readyman EDC belt sleeve. This is a very, very simple piece of fabric, just a little bit of elastic, as you can see there, that wraps around any belt and holds just about anything. In this case, you can see here I've got a double stack Glock 17 magazine. That is the Magpul version of it, but that sits there very securely. And it doesn't have to be something this fat, this big, because as you can see, it kind of bows out or sticks out from your belts if you're using a double stack magazine. I'm just putting this on there to demonstrate what kind of stuff it can handle. You could also put large knives there. You could put multi-tools there. You could put very small things there. I've actually used .380 magazines for my Ruger LCP2. So it doesn't have to be something very big like this. And Readyman also, you know, they like putting the Rat's tourniquet in there and kind of advertising this as a way to carry a tourniquet. So it very much is good for that, but I also find it to be extremely versatile and something that will carry just about anything on your belts at all times. So third on the list, but one of my favorite pieces for the EDC list. Jumping right into outdoor gear, let's get into an honorable mention. This is the Nite 300RL USB powered camping lantern. Kind of a goofy thing to throw into a gear list, right? But honestly, this has been a very cool piece to have in the collection and to be able to use when I take the kids out camping. This is a great outdoor piece. We have, like I said before, the ability to recharge it by way of USB, but on top of that, this can be a charger for your cell phone, for any other device that takes power from USB. So it acts as a battery, it acts as a light, and it does have multi-modes to it as well. It's not extremely bright by any means, but it gets the job done inside your tent, and me and my kids have loved using this thing. So honorable mention goes to the Nite lantern. All right, next on outdoor gear, I want to talk about the Coleman 8-person instant tent. Yeah, that's right, I'm talking about an instant tent made by Coleman. This thing is awesome. It has a ridiculous amount of floor space. It's a 10-foot by 14-foot floor with huge ceilings. I mean, I'm 6'2". I can walk around in this thing without banging my head or scraping my head across the top of the tent. It's wonderful. You can get a rain fly for it to have that added protection. We've gone ahead and done that. We've taken this thing camping over and over and over again. I've taken the whole family, I've taken some of the kids. We love having it for all the space. I mean, you can fit loads of cots in there, lots of sleeping pads, you can fit chairs in there, you can do whatever you need. It's just an incredibly spacious, very comfortable tent. The fact that it pops up, you know, just with a little bit of sliding makes it all the better. Now, it is heavy and a little cumbersome to move around when it's packed up and a little difficult to get back into the bag, but I've done it how many times now? 6, 8 times? It's not that big a deal. Really, it's a pretty easy tent to use. We love it and I highly recommend it. Sticking with the camping theme, let's get into another piece. This is my favorite new sleeping pad, the Klymit Static V. Now, it's not brand new, it's been out for a while, but I've got more than one version of it now. There's the camo, all right? I've decided that this is the sleeping pad that I'm gonna be using from here on out. And right here, we've got the Junior. This is the one that I bought for my son for a camping trip that he and I did, backpacking with some scouts. This thing is extraordinarily comfortable. He slept well on it. I sleep very well on these things. They've got a great deal of loft. They're inflatable. They break down or deflate to be completely flat. And like you said, or like I said, there's the package, the total package right there. Very small, total weight of 18 ounces for this piece right here, and less for the Junior right there. So again, very, very good sleeping pads. We've loved them. It just changes everything about camping when you actually sleep well. And when I get on one of these Static Vs, I sleep very, very well. So this is definitely on the list for outdoor gear. Now, I might be breaking some rules here, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. The last piece I'm gonna put on the outdoor gear list is this right here, the Tops Tanimboca Puukko knife. Yeah, it's a knife, but it's on the outdoor gear list. That's because I love this knife as an outdoor knife. When I think of outdoor knives, things that I'm gonna be using commonly and frequently in the outdoors, I think of things like this, things that are really handy, right? That I will put around my neck and carry around camp and use for little chores. Or pass time by doing some carving, practicing some fire by friction, things like that. The Tops Tanimboca Puukko is perfect for all those applications, for all those uses. It comes in at a really nice weight. It's very small, very, very handy. The price on it, you know, around $100, so it's a little up there for certain uses. You could definitely get away with like a Mora knife and do all the same things that this knife does. But there's definitely something stylish and something cool about a knife like this. So yeah, I'm gonna throw this knife into the outdoor gear category because I definitely enjoy using it in the outdoors. Moving on to guns and range gear, we're gonna start off with an honorable mention again. This time, we've got the Stag Arms, and this is the 10S, but this isn't even the piece that I'm doing the honorable mention on. What I wanna talk about is this scope right here from Nikon. It's the Nikon Black X1000 in, hold on a second, I gotta read this super long name, 4-16 by 50 IL X-MOA. That's a mouthful. This scope has got so much going for it. I've shot it very little at this point. That's why it's an honorable mention rather than being a formal member of the list. However, as I'm breaking into it, getting into it, figuring out how all these pieces work and the potential of this scope, I can see that this is something that's going to be fantastic for all kinds of long and medium range shooting in the future. So I'm really excited to push this scope to the limit, and seeing its potential makes it an honorable mention on the guns and range gear list. Next up, I've got one gun in two, or is it two guns in one? In any case, this is the FX9 from Freedom Ordnance, which has been my favorite 9mm carbine to date. This thing performs so well, it's so fun to shoot. If I had one complaint, it would be the trigger, but I'm not that big of a trigger snob, so I can get over it, especially at the price, which is right around 600 bucks. This carbine is so much fun to shoot. Takes Glock magazines in 9mm, obviously, and it is just, like I said, such a blast. However, the carbine is not the only gun out there. Now they've also got the FX9 pistol. And so this has just arrived in my hands for testing and review, thanks to Freedom Ordnance. So we're gonna be blasting through this guy as well in the very near future, doing some testing with it, putting tons and tons of rounds through it, thanks to Freedom Munitions, who's been supplying me with lots and lots of ammo lately. But I am loving this FX9 platform. It's been completely reliable in all the shooting I've done with it. Accuracy is certainly acceptable for a 9mm carbine. So there's the FX9 pistol, the FX9 carbine. Both of these are hitting the list kind of simultaneously as some of my favorite gun and range gear of 2017. Next up is the Peltor Sport Rangeguard electric ear protection. This has pretty much taken the place of my Howard Light ear protection. I do still own two of those and my family uses them. However, my preferred ear protection is this guy right here. Also, it's my wife's favorite and my daughter's favorite. Reason why? The ear cups on these are much friendlier to smaller heads and smaller ears than are those Howard Light Impact Sports. Those Impact Sports have been nice, reliable electronic hearing protection. I don't mean to bag on them at all, but as far as simple comfort, the Peltor Rangeguard has been far better in my opinion. Again, for me, it works terrific. I love it. It's a little bit slimmer, a little bit easier to use with, say, getting a cheek weld on a rifle or a shotgun or something like that. But again, putting it on my wife's head, putting it on my daughter's head, letting them use it, they get much better coverage and much better comfort from this set of hearing protection, and that's why this is definitely on the list for range gear for 2017. Last but not least, we have to talk about this guy right here. One of my favorite guns of 2017. I got a hold of this guy at an Action Target range day when North American Arms came out to show us all some of their guns. And this is one of the ones that I tried out and absolutely fell in love with. This is their 22 long rifle Bugout. I love this thing. It is such a blast to shoot. Comes in this box right here, made by, who's it made by? Oh, Plano, obviously. Plano, it's a Plano case. Waterproof, it looks like, submersible, I'm sure. And that's the reason why, they kind of call it the Bugout, because it comes in this great little case that protects it in case of, again, emergencies or whatever. You've got this gun at the ready, regardless of the weather. This thing is a blast to shoot. It's actually quite easy to carry. I've used it as a concealed carry piece periodically during the time that I've had it, and it fits really, really well into a lot of dress situations. It actually fits really well into the Readyman EDC sleeve. So I can put this thing on my belt, walk around with it, nobody's the wiser, and it is there at the ready for me if I ever needed it. So it is certainly a minimal EDC carry as far as firearms are concerned, being that it is 22 long rifle, but it's also extremely easy to carry and fun to use and to shoot. It comes with a Nite sight on it. Let's see, I believe that is an XS big dot sight on there. You can just make that out there. But that little sight right there is perfect on this tiny little pistol fact that you've got a Nite sight on it and the fact that it's got a sight at all, super easy to use, really fun to shoot, and that's why the Bugout 22 is on my list for guns and range gear for 2017. Now, what you've all been waiting for, let's get on to knives, and we'll get into the honorable mention first. This is kind of like a group honorable mention, but we are going to whittle it down. Case knives have become a favorite of mine in 2017. I've really enjoyed carrying and playing with them and whittling with them. And these are a handful of new case knives that I've gotten in that I have not shown you yet. We've got a sow belly, we've got a mini copperhead, we've got a stockman, but also we've got this guy right here, which has become my favorite up to this point, and that is the Seahorse Whittler. I don't know what it is about this knife right here, but it just really turns me on. I love the way it feels in hand. I love the aesthetics of it. I love that cool sheep's foot blade on it that tapers down in such an interesting way. It's very fat right here at the stock, and then it slowly tapers down to a very, very fine point there at the end. It's got one or two more blades on it. There's a little sheep's foot, kind of a rectangular, not rectangular, but very angular looking sheep's foot. And then we've got more of a little spear point as well. So it's got your utility on it, and it's got a great honking whittling blade on it for doing some very good work. Now, I won't go into too many specs on this. We'll talk about this knife and the rest of them in their own separate videos in the future, but the case knives, particularly this Seahorse Whittler, are definitely making the list as honorable mentions for knives this year. Next up, here's a knife that I still have not done a review on, but I've been promising it to you for a long time, and you will get it. This is the Microtech UTX85 in a beautiful bronzed steel with blue aluminum scales. What a gorgeous and fun and functional out the front knife this is. I really enjoyed using it. The quality of the craftsmanship and the manufacture that goes into Microtech knives is fantastic. It's unbeatable for the price, in my opinion, and very much worth what you pay. You can get into other out the fronts, no doubt, but so far I haven't looked at any, I haven't tried any that impress me like the Microtechs do. The Ultratechs I still love. I'm still looking at lots and lots of different Ultratechs that I want to buy and get into. Maybe I will slowly, but they're expensive and I gotta watch the money. But these UTX85s, this is the first one that I bought. I don't know if I'll buy more. I would like to buy more. Definitely on the list for 2017 is the Microtech UTX85. Kind of a spendy knife, but a very, very good one. Next up, another knife in a beautiful, vibrant blue color. Loving the Benchmade Bugout. Benchmade did send me this one for testing and review, and I do owe you a review on this knife. I will get around to it, I promise. Probably not before SHOT Show though. It's got a deep carry pocket clip on it that is repositionable, and check out how thin that knife is. I love that about it. It's been my preferred motorcycling knife because it slips into pocket so thinly, so easily. You can ride all day long with this thing and forget that you have it. Great for office carry as well, great for basically any situation at all. Called the Bugout because it is so thin and it is so easy to carry in lots of different situations and to add as part of a Bugout kit. Once again, because of how thin, how light, how simple it is, and how capable it is. With about a 3-inch blade on it, this thing is a very capable knife. Its thinness, its lightweight also gives it a little bit of a delicate feel, but it has performed very well for me in all the work I've done with it so far. The review is yet to come, but trust me, it's going to be a positive one. Now, last on the knife list, but certainly not least, is this guy right here, the Spyderco Delica 4 FFG in Zome green and yellow. What a beautiful combination, and what a really cool story that goes along with this design. The Delica 4 is a knife that's been around for a long time, obviously. We know it, we love it. I know it, I love it. This one in particular is in S30V, which differs from the standard VG10. Pocket clip, repositionable in all 4 ways. So we could say a lot about the Delica 4, but you've heard it all, so let's skip to what makes this one special, and that is the pattern there on the scales. The Zome, and it's spelled Z-O-M-E, but pronounced Zome, as Eric from Spyderco told me. This is a pattern, a sort of an artistic thing done in Japan to, well, I guess at least to these, and I guess to a bunch of other things too, but it's something that Spyderco has decided to take advantage of by having Lots of different knives done in lots of different colors. Different distributors, different retailers are allowed to order different ones, and they become collectible because they are exclusive to those retailers or distributors. This guy right here, you know, I got it from Blade HQ. I'm not sure if you can get this particular color anywhere else. So not only are the colors special because they're only available in certain places, but the way it's done is very, very cool. This starts off in that yellow color, and then the Japanese Zome artists go through and carefully and with an artistic eye, they will go through and drop little bits of dye of that green into the yellow. And so that is how this mixed color is created. And that's why every Zome knife, whether it's a green and yellow or anything else, is completely unique. You could put this up to any other green and yellow Zome, Delica 4, and they would not be identical. It's like each one's got its own fingerprint. I love that fact. And knowing that this is done by hand by individual artists just really rings a really cool note in my head and makes me want to own something like this. So when I saw it at Blade HQ, I was, you know, enamored right away and had to pick it up. And that is last on the list, the Spyderco Zome. And that has been my list for 2017, the best gear of the year. Once again, this is not necessarily gear that came out in 2017, but stuff I've just been really impressed with and have used quite a bit in 2017. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the list. Like I said before, links to all this stuff is down in the description if you want to buy any of it. I'm Olight Boy Scout. Merry Christmas once again. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.